All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Light of the Infinite Festival. It's very exciting. Now, let me ask you a question. Who is ready to change the world? Now, it's a very big statement, and it's almost daunting. But in this whole world, we get that messaging from everywhere, really. In the Jewish text, we hear about Tikkun Olam. You, the individual that we're talking to right now, you, on the other side of this screen, has to fix the world. That's a ginormous task. And we talk about, in the secular world, people want to bring world peace. Everybody's here to change, these tech giants. We're here, revolutionary tech, we're going to change the world. It's a huge undertaking, and it's very daunting. But that is actually, we're put here on this world with a mission, and everybody has to do this monumental task. But rather than get overwhelmed, we have to look at it as a step-by-step journey. So just an idea that I heard from the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he said this idea, which I thought was a great way to find what is your area of life that you're meant to fix. So the Rebbe said, if you look around in your Dalit Amos and you see something that needs fixing and you can do something about it, boom, right there, that's your purpose. So everybody in their world, you have to get active and live your life, really invest, gain skills, interact with people, travel, go places. And the more we grow, we will interact with different mediums. And as a kid, this is how it is. But as an adult, as you get older, you realize that I'm enjoying this, but this one thing I wish we could change. Hey, I'm capable. I can change that thing. And boom, you have purpose. So it's very daunting before you get set up. And as a kid, it's really your parents, it's your teachers. They're the ones who set goals. Okay, guys, we are going to learn the ABCs. So that's a big task. And then they take that and they break it down into small, achievable steps. This week, we are doing the letter A, and they make it fun. A is for apple, A is for apricot. Maybe they'll bring in a bunch of fruits, and they're like, okay, take all the fruits that have an A, leave the oranges, leave the plums. And if you get it right, they'll give you the oranges and plums. So it's up to your teachers and guardians and parents. They're the ones who set the goals and broke it down for you. But as an adult, it is now up to you. You have to look at your life and set meaningful goals. A lot of us are in the machine and we go, I wake up, I go to the gym. If you're good, I go to my job, and all these are great things, and I have the tasks that I need to achieve within my job, but we get into autopilot and we don't necessarily expand and grow, and that's not healing the world around us. So you, not a teacher, not a boss, not a manager, you need to set meaningful goals that might seem at the outset to be monumental and almost impossible to achieve. Then take that, break it into the small steps, and do the most manageable thing in front of you. And I saw a guy, and it was beautiful, and he's up there, and he's shredding away, and I'm like, that's what I want. So I had an image in my mind, and I wanted to achieve it. And at first, when I first set out, I was like, whoa. Because the first time I saw it, it was like, yeah, I could do that. And then I touched the guitar, and I'm like, oh my God, no, I cannot. I cannot do that. So that was very daunting, and I had an image that was then like crushed. But I took this meaningful goal and I broke it down into individual pieces, and I was like, okay, let's first learn how to hold it. And I'm holding the guitar. Let's first make one fret ring out. Okay, that's working. Let's get one chord. All right, let's learn the 4 first chords. All right, now we got a song going. Let me learn 3 or 4 songs on these same chords. And step by step by step by step, now let's learn about the scales. Now let's learn about the modes. And in that, I want to master this whole thing. So it started off with a vision. I see shredding on stage. It starts off with a vision. I break it down into the individual steps. Same applies by a company. You see a clothing line and you're like, you know, I wear clothing. I like sweaters. If only this sweater had 3 pockets here and it had a nice zipper over here, you know what? I'm going to go and do it. And you want to set out to make a clothing line. Don't get overwhelmed and daunted by the whole idea of I need 70 different models of sweaters and 70 pants and shirts. Start with the one thing. I need to design a sweater that I buy into, and I need to find a supplier, and I need to get one prototype, and I need to give it to one friend, one family member, and like this, step by step by step by step, till eventually I have this sweater selling all around, and then I post it online, and then I find that next product, do just that next adjacent product that comes with a hat now. And then over time, you look back, you built an entire clothing line. It starts step by step by step. Now, maybe even more meaningful, let's talk about relationships. In a relationship, you have to not go from stranger to we're in a loving, deep, connected, nourishing relationship. That's a long, many-step process. And I'm talking about with your parents, with your siblings, with a lover, a spouse, with friends, with strangers that you want to become friends, with work people in your life. The first time you meet somebody, it's going to be awkward. And you're not going to know each other's rhythms, and you're going to say something and feel a little weird, and that's okay. A lot of people don't want to take that first step, because if it's not this epic, flowy relationship, then it's just going to be awkward and weird. But if you don't have that first awkward conversation, you're never going to get to that amazing, beautiful, flowy, nourishing relationship. I was just speaking with a friend over Shabbos, and she was telling me how I asked her, so, what'd your parents think about your Shabbos plans? Because my parents, they sent me this nice dish, and they said, share it with your friends. It was beautiful. And she said, well, I actually told them that I'm going with a group of girls, because my parents don't know that I hang out with boys. And she's 30. And I was a little taken aback. I was like, to me, that doesn't feel like a connecting, healthy relationship. How are you going to have literal, actual untruths in between you and a parent and hope and think that you're going to have a close relationship? There's literal lies in between you. They're dividers. A relationship is this. A lie is like mechitza shel barzel, the way they call it in Kabbalistic literature. It's like an iron wall. And I said, I had these conversations with my parents back in the day when I was 15. I wanted to go out at night, and they're like, oh, you can't go out. It's late. I'm like, I'm going out. Oh, you got to be back. So I was like, I'll come back in a half hour. They're like, no, come back now. And we went through all that push and pull, and we went through the step by step when I was 15. And then as you get a little older, they start to see, okay, I come back. I'm fine. I'm healthy. I'm taking care of myself. I'm honoring my word. I'm going a little further than you wanted me to, but I'm still safe and healthy. And we have that whole negotiation in honesty and conversation. I'm going with my friends. It's okay. And you know what? Maybe it's something you're not going to be proud of. And I was honest. I went to a bar. You weren't happy about that. I went to a bar. We bought the drinks. We got an Uber home. We were safe. We were smart. And my mom was not impressed the first time we had those conversations. And they were tough. But negotiating these conversations till the point where I'm 30, and she still doesn't believe in all the moves I make, but we've worked enough that we could have a mutual respect, that we can honor each other's existence and decisions. And now we have a real deep, meaningful connection, and love goes in both directions, and advice goes in both directions, and just warm health and balance. So to start at 30 from step one, I want to go from basically a strange separation to boom, I have this loving relationship. It's tough, but break it down. Let's say you are 30 and you have an estranged relationship. Start with that one step. What's that first step? Have that first conversation. Hey, how was your day? And it's forced. And you're like, oh, your mom says, I went to the supermarket. Oh, really? What'd you buy? I got cereal. Really? What kind of cereal? It was cornflakes. Really? What brand? And it feels like this who cares conversation, and it's tedious, and I'm pulling teeth, and it's not this nourishing conversation. Have it. That's the first step. And the more of those you have, now there's rapport. Now, take one intimacy of yours, one secret that you didn't want your mom to know, that you didn't want your workmate to know, that you didn't want your friend to know, and one small, but find like a bite-sized one. Don't start with, a monstrosity like, hey, I don't even know. I don't even want to give an example of a monstrosity. Don't want to put any ideas in people's heads. But start with a small, like, hey, that other night I went out to a bar. I knew that maybe you wouldn't feel comfortable with me telling you, so I said I was just going to a friend's house. Really, we went to a bar or a movie. And that honesty, they'll be like, what? You go to bars? I thought my children, I didn't raise you to be this way. And in your head, you might not want to tell them, and you think you're protecting them. You're like, I don't want to worry my parents. If I say I'm at a bar, now they're going to be up all night. And I get that, and I respect that. But rapport and trust has to be built on truth. And if this is who you are, and you're going out at night to these places, they should know these things. So that's building relationships step by step. And it's a beautiful, wonderful, difficult, tough thing. So, okay, we've been discussing that you want to do step-by-step growth and do the one step in front of you. Don't climb the mountain all in one step. Do that one step in front of you. Question is, A, what if you don't know what that step is? Or B, what if you don't have a big goal? I said earlier that I wanted to play the guitar. I saw this guy shredding. I was like, that's amazing. I have a vision now. I have a goal. Okay, I have a goal. Now I can break it down into steps. What if I don't have that big vision? Or what if I do have that vision, I just don't know what the next step is? So let's go through these scenarios. First of all, let's imagine that you have a goal. You have a goal, and you're just not sure what the next step is. So I'll tell you, just from my own life, I now have a goal that I'm trying to reach. And in Hashem, please God, I run a music festival called Sababa. It's wonderful. You should all come. It's a great time. This past summer, we had 1,000 people there. It was epic. There's music, there's classes, it's a wonderful, wonderful time. And I want to get a property. I want to get a property that we will have our own place, and we could come and do the festival again and again. And when we invest and build stages, it's in our space, so every investment builds the future, and it's all huge. And we could let other events come there, and we could design it and curate it exactly how we need. And it's a massive undertaking. I found a property that I like. It's $3 million, and I need to have cabins and a dining room and a show. I need just about $10 million to do this thing. Big, massive goal, huge. So I have this goal, I have this vision. It's so big that maybe it's a little daunting, and what do I do? How do I get started? How do I take the next step? So the first thing I do is I make a list. I make a list of what are things that I need to get this done, all the things that you could think of. And as I just said, I need to build a shoal, I need cabins, I want to have plumbing and electricity. Make a list. Once you have the list, there's 1,000 steps in front of you, because trust, it'll probably be more than 1,000 steps till this thing is seen through. So, which again is daunting, but I know that taking one step will eventually lead to 1,000, so I'm not phased. So there's 1,000 steps. I listed them out. I have a spreadsheet that I did, and I want campsites that are 4 people big and 10 people big, and group campsites, and ones that come with electricity and water, and some that have RV hookups, and list. Steps. And it's huge. And now I need to look at this list, pick one. You made a massive list, which maybe is your first step. Make the first step of make the list. And then after you have that, I picked one. I want to know how much it costs to build a cabin. And I have a list of different size cabins that I want. I want a 2-person cabin. I want a 4-person cabin. One with a kitchenette, one without a kitchenette. I'm going to get started in looking what that costs. I'm going to research tiny homes. I'm going to research trailers. I'm going to research the raw material and the cost of labor. I'm going to research different forms of plumbing. And even this one step that I just chose is also 1,000 steps. And then I'm going to make a list of that. And then I'm going to choose one of those steps to look into. And really, this is all of our life. Our entire life is I'm here on this world for a purpose. And my purpose is this big. It's ginormous. It's my entire life. Okay? But let's break it down. I want to do this thing. I want to get the property. That's one step in my whole life. Okay, but that one step is ginormous. Okay, let's break that down into steps and pick the cabins. That's one step. Okay, but that's a bunch of steps. Now I need to research different styles and different types. Okay, let's look at the plumbing. That's one step. Okay, but is it septic? Is it running to the city? Do you have to get taxes? And that's fine. Understanding that life is massive and the job in front of you is ginormous and that it'll take 1,000,000 steps. But understanding that all of us go through that and that one step leads to the other, that's the only way to get to 1,000,000, that helps me take the next step. So that was category one. You have a big goal, and this was a process, exercise on how to find that one step, how to not get overwhelmed. Make the list, pick the thing, make the list, pick the thing. Don't get overwhelmed, don't get daunted, take that first step. The question is, what if you have the big goal, you're making those steps, and then you are just stuck. You don't know what the next step is. You made the lists, and things maybe seem out of your control. They seem too big. Even when you broke it down, you just don't know what to do. So 3 possible solutions. Either you have a mentor in that field. That is the most ideal. There's a mentor who's done this before, and you reach out to him and you say, hey man, I like how you're doing. This is what I'm up to. And they might want you to pay them for their time. Consultant, worth it. He has months, years, lifetimes of experience in front of you. That $150 that you'll take him out or that you'll pay him to give you the hour of, okay, here's your plan. This is what you're missing, worth it. Let's say you can't afford it. Let's say you don't have a mentor in that area. Do you have a mentor, Bichlal? Even in not this area, talk it through with someone you respect. Okay, let's say you don't have a mentor, which by the way, could even be a therapist, a parent, a rabbi in your shul, somebody you respect. If that's not on the table, you don't have that, a friend that doesn't necessarily know better than you. You just need a soundboard. Sometimes you just have to hear yourself explain it and the next step will show up. Or they'll ask a simple question like, what about this? Where did that come from? And you'll be like, good point. And that's what I do. So those are 3 possible solutions. You either have a mentor in the field, ideal. You have a mentor, Bichlal, very nice. If you don't, and you have a friend, take them out for a beer. We hang out all the time, me and my friend. And it's like, you know what? I want to hang out this time with an agenda. We're not just going to come and shoot the shit. We're not going to just come and like chill. I want to actually talk through an idea. Do you mind if we take this time that we hang out and really, focus? And you know what? Drinks on me or shawarma on me. And I've had this before. I wanted to discuss, I was dating someone and I needed to just air my brain out. And I called a friend and I'm like, hey, can we go on a walk and just focus on this and just let me talk and give your feedback and whatever? And he was like, dude, I'd be honored. I'm here. Most of your friends love you. And if not, then that's a whole nother class. We'll have another class on that. But most of your friends love you and they respect you and they want to help you. And if you say, hey, I'm on this project, I got stuck, I want to talk it through, they'd be honored to help you. So that is, if you have the goal and you got stuck, talk it through with either the mentor, or a friend. Okay, here's a big one. What if you don't have a goal? Baruch Hashem, I feel blessed that I'm involved in these projects that I'm involved in. And it's incredible because every time I'm in a creative space, I have a Kayla, I have where my creativity can go. And therefore, every project I'm involved in can get better and better and better. If you're not involved in a productive project, then you may get wonderful creativity moments. You just ran and your mind is on fire and all the synapses are going nuts, or you just had a wonderful day and you're chilling and you're just in this open space, you're on a hike, whatever it is, and you have a moment of creativity. But if you don't have a Kayla of where to put it, you're going to come up with some shtus like, oh, you know what? It would be great if we made like a water bottle that could like self-disintegrate. And it's like, okay, brilliant. But like, if you don't have anywhere for your creativity to go, then it won't go anywhere. So you need to have a big goal. where do you get a big goal? So the way to get a big goal is to expose yourself to possible skills, people, communities, and really halavai, you would have had parents and guardians and teachers that would have exposed you to all these things. They would have given you art lessons, and they would have given you music lessons, or coding lessons, or knitting lessons, or taking you to cool places and trips and travel. That would have been ideal. And you would have been exposed to all the wonderful things in life, and you would start to make connections of where, like we said earlier, the Rebbe said, that you find your Dalit Amos, you see something that's missing, something that you could fix, and fix it. And if that didn't happen, it's on you. I have a friend, he just reached out to me. I'm involved in a project that has a lot of digital artists. So we're doing Torah VR. We're going to be putting VR goggles, and we're taking all the mitzvahs from the Rambam, and we're going to make it an interactive game. It's epic. I'm really excited. This is my office where we do that. And I'm around digital artists. And I have a friend, wonderful guy. He's in his 30s, and he's got his job down pat. He makes decent money. He goes on Monday night to the hockey league. Wednesday night, we have a shiur together. And some nights of the week, he's busy. But on the other nights, what's he up to? What do I get up to at night? 7 o'clock I get home, 8 o'clock I get home. What am I doing from 8 to 12 till I go to sleep? Sit on your phone, watch YouTube, watch movies. So, not the worst thing in the world, but ad kach, like how much? So he asks me, hey man, I used to doodle when I was back in yeshiva. I want to learn digital art. If it's graphic design, if it's animation, he wants to just get his toes in the water. Could one of your guys give me a lesson? First lesson of let's meet and just see what tools I need. Do I need an iPad? See what programs I want. Do I want Adobe? Which Adobe? There's all these different things. And I was so impressed because oftentimes people could just end up in this kind of rut of this is where I am, this is what I do, and I come home at night and I watch my movies. And he was like, I haven't felt inspired by a big goal. I need to expose myself to new skills. He's going to get involved in this right now. I don't know, but I imagine he gets pretty good at it. He does one day a collaboration with somebody else. This leads to that. Now he's involved in a comic. Next thing you know, boom, he's a digital artist and he feels passionate and love for it. I don't know that'll happen. But when you expose yourself to new skills, when you expose yourself to new possibilities, new connections can be made and you'll see gaps that you can fill. Walter Isaacson is a big biographer. He did a biography on Benjamin Franklin and Leonardo da Vinci and Steve Jobs. He's working on one now for Elon Musk. He takes big personalities and he writes their story. And one thing he said, what he noticed by doing all these big personalities, how were they able to bring their ingenuity to the table? What gave them the tools? What's something similar about all of them that made them so brilliant? And he said it's cross-disciplinary, that you have multiple disciplines that you're good at. And if I could see Steve Jobs, he is very good at design. He took calligraphy classes and art, and he's very into design, and he was into tech. And he could take tech and design and put them together and create Apple. Before Steve Jobs, tech was bro-y and nerdy, and it didn't need to look good. They could have, motherboards sticking out and jagged edges, and you touch it and it cuts your finger. And who cares what it looks like? We need functionality, we need power, we need RAM, we need space. And he came to the table and said, hey, design, how does this feel? How does it make me, do I want to touch it? Do I want to interact with it? Is it pretty? And it's very interesting that that's the whole UX and UI, and that's everything these days. And Apple's the biggest company in the world because he saw tech and he saw art and he put it together. And he didn't know when he went to the calligraphy class that he wanted to make tech pretty. He didn't know that. All he knew was, this is calling to me. Let me expose myself to this possibility. Ooh, tech is interesting. I'm exposing myself to this possibility. Ooh, boom. That's how we learn how to be ingenuity and how to bring new things to the world. I look at the things that Baruch Hashem I've been blessed, and I believe my partner is on The View right now, Mendel, yeah, Chaim. We run a music festival, Sababa, and it's a mix of all these different things that we're into, and it's music, and I learned guitar, and it's camping, and we've gone on trips, and then when you're on a trip, you're like, oh, somebody's got to cook, I like food, let's get the right people to make the food, and ooh, we're sitting here on Shabbos day, let's learn something. It's the morning, I slept in a tent, let's have yoga. It wasn't, let's make a festival. It was, I like music, I like yoga, I like food, I like Shabbos, I like learning. Let me take all these things, just expose myself because I'm into it and take the steps to get better at those. And now I'm multidisciplinary. Now I can make a chalent out of things and really bring something beautiful to the world. And there's this idea in YouTube, virality. If you want a video to go viral, there's like a method to it. And I forget the guy's name. I was watching a YouTube video about YouTube virility. And he said, you take one idea that's viral, you take another idea that's viral, and you make a mashup. So let's say, just throwing an idea out there, Dave Portnoy, I didn't even write this in my notes, I'm just mamish on the fly, but like, let's say Dave Portnoy does his one bite of pizza, and, it's somebody else does... Well, shawarma just came to mind. But do the same thing in the Jewish world. So there's a Jewish world, there's one bite of pizza, make a shmush, now you got one bite of shawarma. And that's not copyrighted, go ahead if you want to do that. Go to every shawarma joint, rank them, let me know, because I'm a huge shawarma fan, and I want to know where the good ones are at. So just take two ideas, mush them together, and boom, you have a wonderful viral idea. So that is how you find. So we were talking about if you have a goal, there's ideas of how to get the next step. Is you break it down. What's the next step I need to do? Make a list of 50 steps and pick one. Then zoom in on that, make all the steps that go into that thing and pick one. And do that however many times you have to until you could do one practical step. And make sure it's not just the list. Make sure you take in this world a practical step. If you were stuck and you didn't know where to go, ask a mentor. Ask a mentor in that field, or a mentor b'chlal, or ask a friend. Just have a soundboard. And if you don't have a goal, you need to expose yourself to new skills, ways of thinking, practices. And if you're not sure what you want to do, make a list for that. If there's no restraints on you financially, with time, with geographical location, if there was no limits on you, what skills would you want? Me personally, I'd love to know how to break dance. I'd love to know how to knit. I'd love to know a little more in woodwork. I do a little bit, but I'd love to know more. Make a list of, if you could do anything, what would you do? Then once you have that list, pick one and get a class. Or get a friend who does it to show you. Or go on YouTube. Everything is at your fingertips. Make sure you do the practical thing. Lists are important to know what the next step is, but then you need to execute. So that is the discussion that we had today. Hope you enjoyed. And take that next step. Make the list to find where that next step is. Understand that there's a million steps till you get to the top. Don't be overwhelmed by that, because we all need to do that. And take that one step, because it leads to the millionth, and you will have all of your dreams come true, because the world is conspiring for you to do this. The world needs these good things to happen. God needs these good things to happen. The Torah, humanity, we're all rooting for you to make this world a better place. And it's that step-by-step. Good luck. L'chaim v'levracha. And thank you very much.